Switch by Chip and Dan Heath. Have you been wondering what the book Switch is about but haven't got around to read it? In this video we are going to summarize the book and extract all the core messages. Hey, it's Emma from 5-Minute Summary, where we cover the core messages of books and contents in 5 minutes. If you are new here or find this content valuable, make sure you click that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the like button as well. Let's get into it. For anything to change, someone has to start acting differently.
Show me your mean face. No, your mean face. Get grisly.
The brain has two independent systems that work at all times. First, there's the emotional side. It's the part of you that is instinctive, that feels pain and pleasure. Second, there's the rational side, also known as the reflective or conscious system. It's the part of you that deliberates and analyzes and looks into the future. Jonathan Haidt, the author of The Happiness Hypothesis, says that our emotional side is an elephant and our rational side is its rider. Changes often fail because the rider simply can't keep the elephant on the road long enough to reach the destination. If you want to change things, you've got to appeal to both the rider and the elephant. The former provides the planning and direction, and the latter provides the energy. When rider and elephant disagree about which way to move, you've got a problem.
Okay, this is ridiculous. We need to talk about the elephant in the room.
The basic 3-part framework: you need to change behavior. First, direct the rider. What looks like resistance is often a lack of clarity, so provide crystal clear direction. Second, motivate the elephant. What looks like laziness is often exhaustion. The rider can't get his way by force for very long, so it's critical that you engage people's emotional side, get their elephants on the path and cooperative. Third, shape the path. What looks like a people problem is often a situation problem. The authors call the situation the path. When you shape the path, you make change more likely, no matter what's happening with the rider and elephant. If you can do all three at once, dramatic change can happen.
What's going on here?
Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
In tough times, the rider sees problems everywhere, and analysis paralysis often kicks in. The rider will spin his wheels indefinitely unless he's given clear direction. That's why to make progress on a change, you need ways to direct the rider, show him where to go, how to act, what destination to pursue. Big problems are rarely solved with big solutions. Instead, they are most often solved by a sequence of small solutions, sometimes over weeks, sometimes over decades. The more choices the rider is offered, the more exhausted the rider gets.
I have so many questions!
Change brings new choices that create uncertainty. Ambiguity is exhausting to the rider because the rider is tugging on the reins of the elephant, trying to direct the elephant down a new path. But when the road is uncertain, the elephant will insist on taking the most familiar path. Why? Because uncertainty makes the elephant anxious. Any successful change requires a translation of ambiguous goals into concrete behaviors. To spark movement in a new direction, you need to provide crystal clear guidance. You can't script every move, it's the critical moves that count. If you are leading a change effort, you need to remove the ambiguity from your vision of change. Until you can ladder your way down from a change idea to a specific behavior, you're not ready to lead a switch. To create movement, you've got to be specific and be concrete. Marry your long-term goal with short-term critical moves. The rider's strengths are substantial and his flaws can be mitigated. When you appeal to the rider inside yourself or inside others you are trying to influence, your game plan should be simple. First, follow the bright spots. As you analyze your situation, you're sure to find some things that are working better than others. Don't obsess about the failures. Instead, investigate and clone the successes. Next, give direction to the rider. Both a start and a finish. Send him a destination and script his critical moves. In one study, John Cotter and Dan Cohen observed that, in almost all successful change efforts, the sequence of change is not analyze think change, but rather see feel change.
I didn't see you there, but I felt your presence.
If you need quick and specific action, then negative emotions might help. To solve bigger, more ambiguous problems, we need to encourage open minds, creativity, and hope. One way to motivate action is to make people feel as though they're already closer to the finish line than they might have thought. When you engineer early successes, what you're really doing is engineering hope. Hope is precious to a change effort. The value of the miracle scale is that it focuses attention on small milestones that are attainable and visible rather than on the eventual destination, which may seem very remote. When you set small, visible goals, and people achieve them, they start to get it into their heads that they can succeed.
I'm convinced that you can probably do this.
You want to select small wins that have two traits. First is that they are meaningful, and second, they are within immediate reach. James March, a professor of political science at Stanford University, says that when people make choices, they tend to rely on one of two basic models of decision-making, the consequences model or the identity model. The consequences model assumes that when we have a decision to make, we weigh the costs and benefits of our options and make the choice that maximizes our satisfaction. It's a rational, analytical approach. In the identity model of decision-making, we essentially ask ourselves 3 questions when we have a decision to make. Who am I? What kind of situation is this? What would someone like me do in this situation? If you want people to change, you can provide clear direction or boost their motivation and determination. Alternatively, you can simply make the journey easier, create a steep downhill slope and give them a push, remove some friction from the trail, scatter around lots of signs to tell them they're getting close. Tweaking the environment is about making the right behaviors a little bit easier and the wrong behaviors a little bit harder. If you change the path, you'll change the behavior. A meta-study that analyzed 8,155 participants across 85 studies found that the typical person who set an implementation intention did better than 74% of people on the same task who didn't set one. A good change leader never thinks, why are these people acting so badly? They must be bad people. A change leader thinks, how can I set up a situation that brings out the good in these people? There's a tool that perfectly combines tweaking the environment and building habits. It's something that can be added to the environment in order to make the behavior more consistent and habitual. That tool is the humble checklist.
Yeah! Yeah!
Checklists have 3 advantages. Educating people about what's best, showing them the right way to do something. Helping people avoid blind spots in a complex environment. Ensuring against overconfidence. A long journey starts with a single step, but a single step doesn't guarantee the long journey. How do you keep those steps coming? The first thing to do is recognize and celebrate that first step. When you spot movement, you've got to reinforce it. Reinforcement is the secret to getting past the first step of your long journey and on to the second, the third, and 100th steps. Change isn't an event, it's a process. People don't like to act in one way and think in another, so once a small step has been taken, and people have begun to act in a new way, it will be increasingly difficult for them to dislike the way they're acting. As people begin to act differently, they'll start to think of themselves differently, and as their identity evolves, it will reinforce the new way of doing things. Small changes can snowball into big changes. If you enjoy this video and find it valuable, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to also check out the other videos in the Personal Development and Investing series where you will find more 5-minute summaries of amazing books. I'll see you on the next one.